Welcome to 3x5 News, Views, and Reviews scribbled on index cards. Come for the television and stay for the politics, or come for the politics and stay for the television. We get in and we get out fast, so keep up. Donald Trump has often attacked Jimmy Kimmel, perhaps the foremost purveyor of what I call late-night activism. As someone so old that I remember Johnny Carson hosting a game show before he became the longtime host of The Tonight Show, I never thought I would see the day when the late-night TV network monologues Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, and Seth Meyers would effectively be political rallies in opposition to the president. The reason I rate Kimmel the best, besides how funny his writers are, though he is nowhere near the consummate comic actor that Colbert is with his physical humor, is his passionate commitment to opposing the Trump administration. The news that Trump said he wished to dispatch American citizens who commit violent acts to prisons in El Salvador, such as the Middle Ages, CICOT, I think it's actually pronounced CISO, where people deported from America, such as the Maryland man Kilmar Abrego Garcia, are being held, makes me concerned for Kimmel. Trump told that country's Rico Suave, apologies to Latinos if I offend with that stereotype, Rico Suave president Nayib Bukele that El Salvador would, quote, have to build 5 more places, unquote, to hold those America wants to send. I can foresee a day when Kimmel and his beloved Guillermo are carted off, one designated a terrorist, the other in the country illegally, and sent to CISO, or CICOT. On the bright side, at least Kimmel would have his own interpreter in Guillermo. Before I continue, I know this is kind of a desperate look, but I have no shame. Kind of like Republicans, right? Well, here goes. Anybody who leaves a comment on my video will not only receive a comment back, but whether you're a thoughtful person or a troll, I will subscribe to your channel. Well, I think subscribing to YouTube channels is personal. Whether you like what I have to say or really hate it, please consider subscribing to mine. Thank you. On to the hard stuff. No, not what I'm drinking. I'm sober. I'm a pacifist by nature. But I hide my pacifism away until a brighter day when, unprovoked, one country, Russia to be exact, attacks another, Ukraine. Admittedly, I personally am unwilling and unable to travel to Ukraine and provide help on the ground, but whether it comes to cheering them on and contributing, money to one of its nonprofits, I'm all in. To me, the solution to the Ukraine war seems simple: more military aid. It might not help Ukraine win, but it can keep it from losing less and wear down the Russian military so that it won't be in a position to mount another attack on Ukraine or another eastern country in the near future, or the U.S. Obviously, when it comes to military aid, Europe aside, I'm looking at you, U.S., that is, us. Of course, it's not going to happen since, to Trump, Ukraine is not the victim of an invasion, but a tin pot country, a second-rate nation that stands in the way of a better relationship with major power Russia. Many think we missed an opportunity to stop Russia in its tracks early in its invasion when Ukraine's successes made Russia vulnerable, because the Biden administration kind of did a half measures avail us nothing thing. That's one of my favorite quotes from my days in a support group. Because the Biden administration kind of did a half measures avail us nothing thing as far as withholding from Ukraine all the military aid it needed. But to be fair, the Biden administration found itself between the biggest of rocks and the hardest of hard places, trying to protect Ukraine and the Western world from Russia, and concerned that Russia would use nuclear weapons. Bear in mind that in the early going of the war, Putin was saber-rattling about using nuclear weapons in the form of tactical or battlefield, as they are sometimes called, nukes. Those are smaller yield. That means they have much less explosive power and are more manageable when used. That also makes them oh so tempting to use, though everyone knows that runs the risk of quickly opening the door to the use of strategic nukes, aka the big one. Because of that danger, previously I was all for detente with Russia, including nuclear arms control treaties, eventually leading to complete disarmament. While that is still my dream, that is all it is at this point. Still, we delude ourselves if we think nuclear deterrence will provide us protection from nuclear war indefinitely. Deterrence is such a big subject that a small library could be filled with books and journal articles about the subject. I'm not going into it today. Watch out, though, one day I am. But beware, it is nearly past its sell by date. However, with Russia more dangerous than maybe any time since the Cuban Missile Crisis, arms control and disarmament, not to mention non proliferation measures, are off the table. Fortunately, Russia has not been talking about nuclear use lately. I think that feeling is that Putin does have a self preservation instinct when it comes to nuclear war. What I am suggesting, and I know it's odd coming from a disarmament type such as myself, is that we have been hostage to the nuclear red line too long. Now may be the time to step up to it with increased aggression by Ukraine with the help of the U.S. We need to learn exactly when Putin plans to use nuclear weapons. That will give us a better idea of what our limitations in helping Ukraine are. It will also provide useful information as to how to deal with Russia in the future, as well as China, which seeks to increase its nuclear arsenal to the same level as the US and Russia. Isn't anybody tired of living with the sword of Damocles of nuclear war hanging over their head, as I am? But Trump is as uninterested in the welfare of Ukraine as he is anywhere in the world outside of Mar-a-Lago. Too bad. If he were, it could show us that maybe we are in a little less danger from Russian nukes than we thought. Also, it would make other countries less inclined to develop nukes if they felt that Russia was not as much of a nuclear threat as it seems, and that the U.S. was more likely to pitch in and help protect them. I just want to emphasize again, nuclear deterrence is my bête noire. I don't care if I'm a fossil. I'm a disarmament guy all the way.